Oh, hey guys, it's Ray here. I actually wanted to talk a little bit about me today, and more specifically, I wanted to talk about the 3 things that I wish I knew ahead of time before I got my real estate license. Now, I realize I haven't talked a whole lot about myself and how I know what I know, how I got involved in this industry, and why I know what I know. So hopefully I can cover a little bit about that now and the 3 big things that I wish I knew before I really dove in to actually get my license. So overall, I consider myself having been within the industry for over 15 years. I actually have family that has been in the industry for much longer. And it's important to know that the real estate industry as a whole is not just limited to real estate agency and brokerages and buying and selling houses. That's not it at all. The actual industry is much larger than that. There are so many different paths you can take as a career in this industry, and you can take more than one. I really got involved and started learning when an older family member of mine started getting involved with property management and rentals. And so I learned a lot from them, and I got to see how the inner workings were. I did the hard part, at least labor-wise. When I was a teenager, I got to actually turn apartments. And if you don't know what that term means, that means that when a tenant moves out, you go in and you clean it and you make it spick and span for the new renters to come in. And you're usually doing that in between when the landlord's trying to get applicants and accepting applicants and doing screenings and things like that. But anyways, I was just this 17-year-old kid, who wanted some money, and I got to see what it was like. And I also got to talk to this person in my family, and probably I could easily consider them one of my first mentors, because back then I didn't really know anything. And so that was my first kind of foray into the whole real estate industry. It was kind of slow going after that, but I continued to show interest in homes and buying houses and really prices and paying attention to that. And then later on, when I got into my 20s, I started seeking out knowledge from other people who were more experienced, even more experienced than that member of my family that first taught me about rentals and real estate. And so we're talking years and years and years of knowledge and talking to professionals. And I actually eventually got to go out with other professionals, and I got to see houses, and I learned so much about contractors and inspections, all that jazz. Finally, I would say it was only like about 3 years ago, just before the pandemic, I decided that, okay, I get how this works. I think I can benefit from getting my real estate license and attempting to become a real estate agent. Now, when I decided to jump in and get my real estate license, I actually had a little bit of experience under my belt already of business and the different models of business that might be required. So I kind of had an idea of exactly what would be needed to actually be successful as a real estate agent. Still, there are 3 things that I wish that I knew about before I got my real estate license. Number 1, this is a people business, not a house business. So if you think that being a real estate agent is all about houses and selling houses and doing open houses and looking at land, and that's all it is, that's your main job, that's totally wrong. That is not it at all. That's a small fraction of what you are doing. Your main job as a real estate agent, your main business is people. That's what it is. The fun house stuff is just on the side. It's people. You are constantly, your job, and the only way to be successful is to meet people and network with people and constantly getting your face in people's face. Networking and meeting people and building relationships with other real estate agents, with potential clients, with lenders and loan originators and insurance agents. I mean, you name it. You have to network with all these people, and you have to do it consistently, and you have to do it consistently for years. So that's a big one. That's huge. That's your entire business. I cannot stress that enough. Quick little side note here. If you haven't already, why don't you just go ahead and click that subscribe button below? That way you can keep hearing from me about real estate, my experience as a real estate agent, how to buy a house, credit and personal finance. Number 2, starting on a team is easier than starting from scratch. And you might not have any idea what I'm talking about right now, and that's okay. I only found out about it while I was studying for my test. Well, at least I had kind of had an idea because I worked with a really successful realtor who had just started her own team. But I really only learned the specifics and how to build it while I was studying for my test, because I was, checking books out from the library and reading forums all about being a real estate agent and how to be successful. Most people who get into real estate and want to be a real estate agent, they think that, oh my gosh, it's easy to do the math, especially if you live in an area with high market prices right now. So like an average home where I live in the Seattle area has been like around $700,000, maybe give or take, depending on what month you're looking at. And it's easy to do the math on that you might be making 5 or 6 figures depending on the house that you've sold just off of one contract. I mean, that is so tempting. You could really just be really successful. You could be rich if you could just sell house after house after house after house. And that's amazing. But when you're first starting out and you have not networked, remember number 1, and you have not networked and you have not built that foundation, you need to find clients. And it's a lot harder to find clients if you don't have a network, if you don't have that strong foundation that you've built, It's not impossible, but it's really, really, really hard. In contrast, if you start on a team, you're actually starting and you're agreeing to work with a lead agent who's started to build their own team, who's already built their own network, who already has consistent leads coming in. And that agent is saying, hey, I want to build a team. I've got too many deals to handle now. I don't want to handle the buyers. I'm going to hire another agent to handle the buyers for me. And so if you sign up and you start on a team, you might start as a buyer's agent, which many will consider as harder, but it's really a necessity for you to get started, because that's really how you're going to get face-to-face the most and meet the people and build that foundation. When you do that and you sign up for a team, you're taking a massive pay cut, because the only way you get paid is through commissions on the house sale. And if the lead agent is getting 3% on the house sale, then maybe they're going to say, oh, well, in your contract that you signed with me to be on my team, you only get 1%. Or they might even say you get a flat fee. It really depends on where you are, what your laws are, what your contract says. But most people don't want to do that, because instead of making $200,000 or $300,000 a year, which they know the sky's the limit, if they are on their own, making their own 3% commission that they're not sharing with anybody but their brokerage, then maybe when they're on a team, they're only making $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000 a year. The thing is, though, if you do that for a year and then go out on your own, you meet people, you gain experience and confidence on the purchase and sale agreements, and you meet people. I will say that I was warned and I was told to start out on a team, and I wish that I had listened. I had conflicting responsibilities at the time, so I really couldn't, because a lot of teams will require you to be in office, and I needed to be able to work from home a lot of the time. So I just decided, okay, I want to be able to make my own schedule. I don't want to work for anybody else, and I want to try to make as much money as possible. And in the long run, I think that hurt me. I think that I could have been much more successful if I had had a team and if circumstances were different. But if you're considering becoming an agent, I highly recommend that you try to get on a team. You learn the basics. You gain confidence is so important in this business. It's not even funny. You need to have confidence in what you're doing so that you can have confidence in who you're talking to. I have friends and other acquaintances that are looking to get into the business, and I've told them straight up, right now, it's a really tough market. I don't even have to be selling homes to buyers and from buyers and sellers right now to know that. I look at the market right now, at what's happening in my area. It's really tough. Homes are not selling. Deals are getting canceled. They're actually getting canceled. I'm just seeing back on market, back on market, back on market, back on market. And it's crazy. But I tell them that might be actually a good thing, because we're in a really tough spot right now and it's going to be really hard. It's the perfect time for you to start building and learning your business. But you should probably start on a team so that you can get that confidence that you need. And you can get that experience and you can start networking with actual people face to face and build that foundation. Now, when I say that to people, they get offended. Please don't get offended. I'm really trying to help you. I have your best interest in heart. Please seek out a team. The money might seem like you're not making as much, but it might actually make the difference between you actually getting your business going within a year and you quitting altogether. And number 3 is, if you don't have the time, you won't be successful. Now, getting into this, I knew this, but I knew that I had enough time to work full time. What I wasn't counting on was February 2020 when COVID hit. And then suddenly I didn't have any time anymore. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, my kid had to be withdrawn from school and I ended up becoming the sole caretaker. And so that really harmed my business. I couldn't network and meet people. Open houses were locked. You weren't allowed to do any open houses. You weren't allowed to do any showings. Everything was virtual. And for a while, you couldn't even do that. They actually had to pass a law in my state to say, oh, now we can do, it wasn't the purchase and sale agreements. You could do the purchase and sale agreements electronically, but it was the title and escrow documents by law were supposed to be signed in person. And so they actually had to pass a temporary law saying that you could close on a house and complete the closing documents electronically. I know other states were already able to do that, but I'm in Washington. We were not. We're kind of behind the times. So after a couple months in, I had to make the hard decision and I couldn't do it. I couldn't build my business anymore. And it is what it is. You know, I had to be that stay-at-home mom. I had to teach my kid when he was doing online school. And I'll be real, I basically was handed a curriculum from the teacher and I had to teach it. That's a full-time job. So that was the end of my pursuit to become a real estate agent. But in that time, I'd given it a lot of thought and I figured, you know, what I did get to experience after I had my license, I didn't particularly enjoy. I much more preferred buying my own houses, renting them out, fixing them up, being an investor, and being able to seek out my own deals and negotiate my own contracts. And so while I still had a license, that I put my license on hold, I just intend to use it for myself, I guess. Maybe I'll get back into actually servicing customers again, but right now it's just not, I don't think it's in the cards for me. That said, I know I went into a little bit of a rant. If you don't have the time, you will not be successful. There are some people that get into this. Unlike me, I was into it full time to start until I was forced out. But there are some people that get into this thinking, oh, I only have to do this part-time. I only have to work 3 days a week or 4 days a week. No, that's not reality. You might, if you're only doing this part-time, you might sell a house here and there, maybe once a year, maybe 3 times a year, if you're lucky. But you will not reach the level of success that people dream about when they become a real estate agent. The only way to actually do that is to work full-time lead generating. That's what they call it. That's when you're meeting new people and trying to find people who are interested in selling their houses or buying houses. They call that lead generation. And you have to do that full-time in the beginning to build your network foundation. I keep saying that because you can't build a house without a solid foundation, right? I know that's cliche, but it's the truth. You also can't sell houses without a solid network foundation. So at least for me, even though I had a bunch of curveballs and circumstances thrown at me and I kind of decided, you know, hey, this wasn't for me anyways, I just hope that you figure out what you want to do. Do I want to be in the people business? Is that something I want? Do I want to learn from somebody who's established and successful and build that solid foundation? Or do I want to take a chance? Do I have enough confidence and grit to go at it on my own and really be successful? So just give it time and think about it. So my best advice is to take it slow, listen to advice and really think about it. I talked to several managing brokers over the years, and they had said the same thing, especially about starting on a team, that if they could go back in time and do it again, it would have saved them a lot of time in building their career. So that's something to think about. If you really think that you can do it, if you're so confident in yourself that you can build a network on your own, just know that it's harder. But take the time to think about it and don't make rash decisions. Also, final tip, make sure you read your brokerage contract when you sign with a broker, because at least what I saw, I got to see a couple different contracts. One of them had something a little sketchy that tried to lock me in, and I was not happy about that. So read very carefully. And if you have any questions, you should probably ask a lawyer that you hire. I know a lot of people don't want to pay money for that, but there are some lawyers who you can get like a la carte price just to look over a contract for, so that might be worth it for you in case you don't want to be locked in, say, for your first 10 houses that you sell, you have to give them half your commission or something like that. Read the fine print, talk to a lawyer. It's always good advice. And that's about all I have for you today. I really hope you were able to learn something, because those were the 3 things that really I wish that I had taken into consideration more and learned before I got my real estate license. So I hope that you'll think about it a little bit more closely than I did as well. If you want to learn more about real estate from me, you can always find me at my blog at ohheyitsray.com. But until then, I will see you next time.